have enjoyed every moment. My personal day-to-day has been so wonderful, and I've been so openly received by at least my community of people that I'm super happy to be here. I've loved being here.
Sheila Lam enjoys living in the UK, but will always consider herself to be Vietnamese Canadian. This is Writer's Mosaic, What We Leave We Carry, the series that tells the true life stories of migration to the UK.
Growing in Vancouver was really lovely. My parents are both children of 7, so they have a huge family. My mom's side of the family is a bit more scattered. We have relatives back in Vietnam, we have relatives down in the States, we have relatives on the east coast of Canada. But my dad's side of the family, all but one of his siblings lives in like a 10-minute drive from each other. And that's kind of how it's been ever since we moved to Vancouver back in like the 80s. My dad especially is a huge extrovert. They love hosting. They love hosting like barbecues in the summer. They have people over the house all the time. So I was constantly around people in Vancouver, which was really incredible. Both my parents were born in Vietnam. My sister was actually born in Vietnam as well. And my parents met when they were like 14, 16. In the same little town in southern Vietnam, like a couple hours outside of Ho Chi Minh. And they met swimming in a river and just, I guess, fell in love. My dad was actually the last of his family to leave Vietnam because all of his siblings, he's the eldest of his 7 siblings, so he stayed behind. My grandparents went over, his younger siblings went over, my mom and my sister went over. And my dad always says that it was like that month or month plus where he was like truly alone in Vietnam. He had like no family, no friends, that he picked up smoking out of like stress. I know, it's really tragic. He's no longer a smoker, but yeah, I don't know why that story has always stuck with me. I just think it's really funny and sad at the same time. Growing up in Vancouver is such a fantastic place for, I think, a general lifestyle. It's very easy to be like outdoorsy, to be active. But growing up in Vancouver, I felt really culturally stifled. And I think that was the catalyst of me wanting to leave. The time when I decided to leave, which was about 10 years ago, I felt like it was very small. And then when I was able to first go to like Europe, everything just opened up for me. And it felt like that's where I wanted to be for my personal, like professional and like creative pursuits. I moved away from Vancouver to Denmark I lived in Copenhagen for 2 years. I had to move back to Vancouver. And in the year that I was back in Vancouver, it was so nice to be home. But I knew almost immediately coming back to Vancouver that I wasn't ready to be home. And I had come across this very young company that had these houses out in Berlin, Barcelona, and London. So I reached out in like a cold DM and I said to them, I was like, I'm not entirely sure what you do, but you look really cool and I'm interested. Here's what I do. At this time, I was really focused on doing a lot of travel and food writing. She then offered for me to come and spend a month in each of these places. Of all of the homes, London as a home was beautiful. It was this incredible Victorian Georgian house in Spitalfields. So beautiful. But London as a city was not for me. So it's funny that I actually ended up in the UK. I enjoy like a walkable place. I enjoy a place that's a bit less chaotic. I think London is incredible as a cultural center because there's so much opportunity, so much going on. so many incredible artists and people doing really incredible things. But just the lifestyle for me in London specifically was not it. The first year that I was in East London, I met so many other either like immigrants like myself or people who like to call themselves expats. So I had actually met so many people from all over the place and not actually interacted with that many, I guess, like Londoners outside of the people who worked in the neighborhood. A lot of people coming in from not even just outside of the UK, but other places in the UK. On the day-to-day, everyone who I've met who is like a true Brit is really sweet to me. Like, I have never had a truly horrific experience. When I came first, everything to me was just England. Everything to me was the UK. But as I have discovered in the last few years living here, every region has like a very specific identity, and that could be like regionally, even from like if you're separating like people in the north and like Manchester and Leeds, or if you're talking about like people even in the Midlands. And then obviously I've only ever lived in Southern England. But then if you look at it even beyond that, people who are like Irish, people who are Scottish, it's such a different experience to meet those people as well. And then also interact with them, especially now, like politically. If you think about what people stand for, I think people in Scotland and people in Ireland have much firmer resolutions on like who they want to be and who they are trying to represent outside of themselves. The British Isles is very small, but it's so unique in itself. I've met a lot of Scottish people through one specific mutual friend. So I moved into his friend's old house in Camberwell. So it was 3 Scots who were living in Camberwell. They're such fantastic people, like they're incredible. I see a lot of Irish people in media, like Cillian Murphy, Kneecap, just politicians who are actually speaking up for something. Like, it's so within my periphery that though I have no close Irish friends, I wish I really did. Because I think that as people, they're incredible. They've endured so much historically and are absolutely not putting up with any shit anymore. I love that. Outside of my family, the thing I miss the most in Vancouver is the food. It's just incredible. Again, there's like a huge East and Southeast Asian population in Vancouver where you can go to these businesses that do one thing and one thing only and have only done this one thing for like 40 years. I have the same place I've been going to my whole life to get specifically like sweet soft tofu, and have like this incredible congee where they make their own Chinese fried donut that goes with it. And it's also wrapped in noodle, like a white noodle, and it's so good. I miss the food in Vancouver so desperately. I think there are a few really good places in London that I love, but Margate, tragically, I think is lacking in that type of diversity in the food scene. So in the last few years, I've been really ill, and I have been dealing with this like chronic skin issue, which has just, for a few years, it was really debilitating. Like, I couldn't get out of bed. It also then onset a lot of other issues because your skin is your largest organ, and it's your body's first layer of protection from everything externally. And so when it's compromised, it's funneling all of my energy to like try and repair itself, and make sure that I'm fighting off what I can. So I used to cook a lot, and I used to cook a lot more, but in the last few years of just focusing on resting and just being healthy enough to do like regular externalities has taken that kind of away from me. There are a few dishes that are really comforting to me that I make that are really easy, which is just like steamed rice with like silken tofu and like a really easy mixture of like black vinegar with toasted sesame oil and like some chili oil, and I just throw that all together. And like that's really delicious and simple and easy to me. But I'm not in a place where I'm gonna put like 12 hours of work into making like a pho broth, which is what I love. And I would love to have weekly if I could, if I had enough energy to do it. I am Vietnamese, so I'm a bit biased, but it is some of my favorite food in the world. Probably my last meals in life will be Vietnamese meals because they're absolutely delicious. A lot of things you just can't find in Margate as well. Like I'm not gonna find a lot of these things in like a Morrison's. Even in my first year of living in London, I had been visiting Margate ever since. I had a friend who had an ex-boyfriend who was an artist. Obviously, as an artist, gravitated to Margate. He was brought here by other artist friends, so then even when they broke up, she really loved it, kept coming back, and then invited me out one weekend. I came, and having been in East London for a few months, coming to some place that was so quiet and relaxed and calm and by the sea, I just felt this like my nervous system just kind of relaxed into itself kind of for the first time in like months. And then I was like, oh, I think that was kind of the moment where I was like, I don't think I like living in a big city, because I felt so much better being in Margate. It was nice to be able to like walk on main sands, like walk around Walpole Bay and just like hang about town. This will be my 5th year living full-time in Margate. I have considered moving back to Vancouver. Maybe not in the immediate future, but it's always been a place where I'm like, yeah, I'll probably return someday. Also now my partner, who's funny enough from Margate, is obsessed with Vancouver. He had always wanted to come to Vancouver and like the west coast of like North America in general. He's very much like a forest person. Like he loves trees. It's very different from growing up in Margate. So when he came to visit me, when I was back visiting in Vancouver, I did the terrible planning of having just like the best week ever. And he left and was like, when are we moving to Vancouver? And I was like, okay, one day maybe, but like hold your horses. It's a very different type of nature, because Vancouver, although in many ways still very gentle, like the nature is very gentle to me, it can be very rugged immediately. Like you're going on like a 7-hour hike in the forest, or you're snowboarding, you're skiing, you're going over to, you know, the island in Tofino to go surfing on these like actual waves. And Margate's very different from all of that. Like you are in nature, of course, you've got the beach, you've got the coastline, but it's a completely different energy. Like a forest energy is very different from a beach energy to me. And I think also too, I mean, for him, when he saw that, he was like, oh my God, this is what I've been missing in my life. Like there's so much like woodland area around here, but it feels very different from being in like a forest. The woodland areas here are much gentler, and it feels nice to escape into them, but it still feels very of this place. My partner is British, and my close friends here are all British, but I very resolutely feel Vietnamese Canadian. I don't think I have a British accent in any way, despite having been here for like years and being here full time also. So much of my identity, especially now that I've like grown up a little and I've come around to this idea of what type of person that I am and how I see myself, is very Vietnamese Canadian. So I don't think I'll ever feel or claim to be British, even if I spend the rest of my life here. I would not be the same person that I am had I not lived in Copenhagen, had I not lived here, had I not spent so much of my youth in Los Angeles. But I don't feel I am of those places, but I can definitely recognize how those places have affected me. The worst thing is the visa process. Like, hands down. I have to do it every few years. It costs a lot of money. It takes so much time. It's a lot of paperwork and it's a lot of stress, because at no point am I assured that I'm allowed to be here. And it's, despite having been approved time and time again, it doesn't mean that my future approvals are like set. I have had friends who went to school here, opened businesses here, hired people from the UK for their businesses, and then got their visas denied. It's so prominent in my head that my time here is granted to me by the government. My partner and I have been together for a few years now, and we're in that stage where we are discussing, like, what does my status look like in the UK? What do we want to keep doing? And yeah, it's definitely one of those things where it's like, if we do get married, like, I will have an easier path to staying. Yeah, we've been together for a few years now. We live together. It's such a wonderful relationship. And I also have such a wonderful relationship with his family that, like, if I were to stay in the UK forever, I would definitely consider, becoming a citizen, or at the very least, having like my leave to remain. I don't think I've ever thought about what that would actually entail for me personally to become a British citizen. I've thought about it legally, and I've thought about like the paperwork and like all that, the steps to getting there. But I don't think I've ever actually thought about what it would mean to be a British citizen. And I think that's because I don't identify as a British citizen. I'm so Vietnamese Canadian that I can't let that go. The best experience I've had as a person coming to the UK, I think, is just being able to build a life here. And I've been so lucky to meet such incredible people and like have the life that I have. And every year it feels a bit nicer because my support system grows, my community of people grows, and like in Margate everything is growing, so it's like more things are happening here, which is really lovely. I also really just enjoy traveling around the UK. With having dealt with this chronic illness for the last few years, I haven't traveled outside of the UK either because it's like a bit too much on me. So it's a lot of like either local trips or train trips, going up to Scotland, going through like the Lake District. I really want to visit Wales because it looks beautiful. I love so much of the UK. It's like so beautiful to me. It's like gentle rolling knolls, and just like, I love Somerset. I love the Cotswolds. It's like, it's so beautiful. My partner Sam's dad's side of the family is Scottish, so we've gone up to like visit his family, and it's just really wonderful to like drive around Scotland. It's so beautiful up there. I haven't been back to Vancouver in 2-3 years. It's been okay though, because also my parents are retired, so they spend half their time in Vietnam. So they've also missed a few Christmases, which is like the big holiday for my family and I. So yeah, we talk all the time, and like I'm in this huge family group chat. I'm up to date with everything, but I haven't been home in a long time. I have enjoyed every moment of my time in the UK. Every place has its problems, and it can be a really scary place, and scary things are happening. And I'm not blind to that. But my personal day-to-day has been so wonderful, and I've been so openly received by at least my community of people that I'm like super happy to be here. And I've loved being here.
Sheila Lam was talking to Jazz Grant.